Hi guys, welcome back to another Mikey Two Hands video. Today we'll be teaching you how to make a pallet chair just like this one. So stay tuned and I'll show you how. Okay, so you're going to need 2 pallets for this project. These are Euro size pallets, 800 wide by 1200 millimeters long. A couple of 1200 millimeter pieces of timber just to fill the gaps. These are 40 by 20 millimeter pieces. Next you're going to need some safety gear. I use some leather gloves just for handling the pallets because they do have some splinters. Next you're going to need a saw. Now I'm going to use a circular saw for this project, but you can use a hand saw if you don't have one of these. A sander. This is an orbital sander. It'll just smooth down the seat and the armrests. A couple of drills. One's got a drill bit in it and the other bit's got a screw piece in it for screwing in the screws. A hammer and a wood rasp. So this is like a file for wood just to knock off some of the splinters. I'm going to be using an adhesive to join the 2 pallets together. This time I'm going to be using Bond instant nails. I'm going to use nail plates to join the pallets together, and I'm going to give them a dusting of brown spray paint. This is just a cheap spray paint I've bought, and that'll just take the silver shiny colour off those nail plates. Caster wheels, it's going to be pretty heavy, so you're going to need some wheels to wheel it around. I've got some 25mm screws to join those caster wheels to the bottom of the pallet, and some 45mm screws to join the pallets together. Okay, so this is your cut list for pallet number 1. You're going to need to cut along those red lines, and that will create number 1, which is the seat, number 2, which is the backrest, and number 3 and 4, which are the armrests. You'll notice in the middle there's a dotted line on the seat. That's just going to notch out that top piece of timber so you can attach the backrest to it, and I'll show you how to do that shortly. This is your cut list for pallet number 2. Once again, you're going to cut it in half, and that number 5 will create the bottom layer of the seat. 6 and 7 there, we're going to make those cuts along the red line just to get the blocks from the middle of those pieces, which will form part of the armrest, and I'll show you how to do that shortly. Okay, first step's going to be putting some of that brown spray paint on those nail plates. So that'll just take that silver shininess off them and make it blend in with the wood a bit better. Next you're going to mark up your pallets for your cuts. Use a straight piece of the timber that you've got for the gaps for this. And likewise on the underside of the pallet as well. Now using a circular saw I'm going to make the cuts as shown in the diagrams until we've got all the pieces that we need. So make sure you're using your gloves and safety gear, earmuffs and eye protection while you're doing this. So my apologies for the gratuitous plumber's crack shot here, but I did my best to cover that up for you. So that's pallet number 1 cut. So out of that you'll get the 2 armrests, the seat piece and the backrest. You'll notice those armrests don't have a block at the back of them, so we're going to have to use a piece of timber from the second pallet to fill in those armrests. So there's the bottom layer of the chair. We'll put that to the side for now while we try to get the blocks out of the other pieces from pallet 2 so we can build up the armrest. Now this is a bit trickier than I anticipated, and I ended up having to grab a crowbar to pry those blocks out so I could put into the armrest, and I ended up destroying the other piece of timber beside it that I needed, so I had to use a chisel and a hammer to get those pieces tidied up. Now if you don't have a chisel or a crowbar to get these pieces out, or you just don't have the patience to pull it apart, The other thing you could do is just, with some spare pieces of timber like I'm doing now, cut off 4 pieces of wood and stack them up on top of each other, and that will be enough to fill the gap at the back of the armrest. But for my pallet chair, I used the block of wood plus 1 piece of timber, and that was enough to fill the gap at the back, like so. And then just use some adhesive and a screw from either side to hold that together. Next we'll be fitting the backrest. So as I showed you in the diagram, we just need to notch out that middle piece of timber by using a circular saw and just setting the cut depth to 1 plank of wood. So you can just adjust that bottom plate on a circular saw just to cut a shallow cut, and once you've got that set, you can cut off that piece at the back there without damaging the rest of the pallet. If you don't have a circular saw, you could just take your time with a handsaw and do the same thing and cut that little bit off the back there. And what that'll do is it'll just allow you to set the backrest with a bit of a slight tilt there, so make it a bit more comfortable. Next we're going to need to use a piece of spare timber off the other pallet from pallet 2. So to do that, just rest the crossbar on your pallet and hit it with a hammer, and that should knock off that piece of timber that we need to use. So that will have some gnarly looking nails still in it, but we'll cut those off shortly. So what I'm doing here is I'm just measuring across the length of 3 slats of wood on the seat and making a mark with my pen, and then I'll just cut off that excess bit with the nails in it. So now I'm going to fix this piece of timber down, and that'll just allow me to have something extra to screw in to for the backrest. So screw that piece of wood down. I just used 3 screws here just to keep that piece of timber on, and that'll give us the extra bit of purchase to screw into for the backrest. One thing I did forget to do was cut the long slats of wood to fill in those gaps. So the end ones, you can screw those in easily enough. Those middle 2 slats, I actually screwed on that back piece a bit prematurely, so I had to take that piece off and then screw them all back together again. But that's what you want to end up with. Yes, your gaps all filled in and that back piece of wood. Next, just take your wood rasp or a piece of sandpaper and just knock off some of those splinters from around the pallets. And next we'll be ready to screw in the caster wheels onto the bottom piece. Now I'm sorry to say here folks, but I actually lost a bit of the footage when I attached the bottom pallet to the top pallet. But basically what I did is I used some of that adhesive I showed you before, the Sikaflex instant nails, or you can use a Sally's No More Nails or any other brand that you have, and I just put some adhesive between the 2 pallets, and then using my screwdriver and some screws, just screwed in some screws on an angle like I'm doing now, just to join the 2 pallets together, and likewise with the armrests. So now we'll attach those nail plates that we spray painted brown a little earlier on. So just using a hammer, hit those until the spikes go into the wood, and that'll join those 2 crates together. Now I got 4 of these nail plates ready, but I think I'll only use 2. I only need 1 at the front and 1 at the back to securely join those together. Now it's time to attach the backrest. So line that up with the slats in the front, put it into position, and then using a drill we'll just put some guide holes first, and then use some screws to join those together. And likewise at the back, a couple of guide holes, a couple of screws there will join that together. Next you're going to want to just knock a few of the rough edges off. Depending on the condition of your pallets, you may have to use more sandpaper or not, but if you've got one of these orbital sanders, it makes pretty quick work of it. If you haven't got one of these, obviously you can just use a bit of sandpaper. Okay, so now we'll just have a quick look at everything we've done. So at the front of it, that nail plate we put on there, caster wheels on the bottom, those pallets and the armrests are put on with some adhesive and shored up with some screws. Likewise the back there, those pieces screwed in. Coming around the side, you can just see that piece of timber we put along the back there for support, and the notch where the backrest slots in. So there we go guys, that's your pallet chair. As you can see, I've bought a cushion from Kmart and that just finished it off nicely and made it a bit more comfortable. So please like and subscribe because it really does mean a lot to me. And check out my other videos. I'll leave some links in the description below. Please leave a comment and tell me anything that you'd like me to make in upcoming videos, and I'll be sure to respond to you. Thanks guys.